Habanyo register. Now I'm your vote.
This is Take It to the Booth. If you're 18 years and older, the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of South Africa grants you the right to vote. But in this specific episode, we're chatting to people who share quite some different views about whether we should vote or not. Before we start with the conversation, I just want to make a disclaimer that the views expressed in this episode do not belong to Y or the Nelson Mandela Foundation, their affiliates, or their employee. So I feel like this is a platform for you to also be open, you know, and just to truly express what it is that you
But
feel.
allow ourselves to be held liable for our comments privately and individually.
Also,
Not
and
as a
that's why we
collective.
not as a collective.
Oh, you don't have to be part of our collection.
So obviously quite recently we come out of registration weekend and we had some stats coming out of the IEC with the majority of the new registrars being young people, and also just the role just increasing in terms of the number of people that went to go register. There's a very interesting number that I want us to touch on, which is the 14 million people that did not register to vote. And I want you to paint me a picture of what that kind of individual looks like in South Africa.
I think that I should take that question. Afternoon to everybody. I think that there's not a general picture of what a non-voter looks like in South Africa. It's different. The reason why it's different is because we are not a monolith as a country. We don't all think the same. We are not binary either. It's not one or either or. Because our society is so complex, there are complex ideas as to why people are choosing to not participate. From a basic standpoint, from what we see as ordinary citizens, the government and the leaders right now are simply not doing enough for any material change to come within our neighborhoods. So as soon as I open my door, I need to see the actual change from 1994 up until now, 2023. What physically has changed in front of me? Are there tarred roads? Are there more schools that are built? Are there recreational spaces that exist in our communities? Or are we seeing more people leave in order to find greener pastures? And then when we look at that lack of change, what does that do to the psychology and I mean the brain, the mental makeup, the mental health of that person who is growing up and seeing not only just non-change happening in their own spaces, in their own individual spaces, but at a communal level, but actually at a generational level. So that nothing has changed for my mother. Nothing has changed for my grandmother. Nothing has changed for my great-grandmother. It's not about government handing us resources, no. But it's about them making sure that the bedrock of society, the rock of society, the foundation is there for us to build for ourselves.
Yeah. Sis Mandisa, I see you nodding there. I think with Ayanda having said quite a mouthful. What are your sentiments?
Look, I don't know if Penwa wants to say something before me.
You'd like me to start?
I don't mind.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. My opinion on non is that I don't think we're doing enough with awareness. I believe of the 14 million that didn't vote, there are many people that did not know, or register at least.
Yeah.
There were many people that didn't know. You can point to the banners and the radio ads. Some people are like, oh, I didn't know. Number two, there are no consequences to not registering, which is another problem.
Sure.
So there were young people that were high this weekend, drunk. And for many of them who don't understand that there are alternative channels to register, they were like, so I must go to that place to register. It's like, no, bro, you don't have to. But they didn't know that. So I think the biggest issue is awareness and lack of consequence. So if I did not register, what happens? Nothing.
Yeah.
Who the hell cares? Because as Ayanda said, many people are despondent. They're like, our government and voting doesn't seem to do anything. So even the ones that did know are like, oh, yeah.
And I mean, I share your sentiments because we actually ran a content piece on our radio show asking the youth, why did you not register?
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of the answers were, I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I forgot. I was out at certain parties across the country. And as you said, there are no consequences.
Yeah.
So come Monday, there was registration weekend. But I guess it is what it is because there are no consequences.
Yeah,
There's
so
also,
versus
sorry, Mandis, I just
Yeah.
wanted to add, there's going to be another chance to register.
Yes, yes.
Maybe
next
some
year.
people might say, hey, we want it next year.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
yeah, but also let's just be technical about it, right? In
Yes.
terms of what government's responsibility is. What is the IEC, what they call a mandate in government. I'll simplify it for you and the people who listen to YFM, right?
Please,
Because I'm
please.
obviously in the age. Yeah, my competitors were namadala. Is that and I suppose we'll come to it, but it's that, so firstly, an electoral office is not a static thing that you engage when people must go and vote and then you withdraw like a snake. Okay, sorry for that very uncanny analogy, but like a snake that hibernates or ufudu, right? It must be an ongoing, must be the lifeblood. So I want to go elsewhere with it, but I want to just go quickly, just for the sake of dealing with basic necessities. The electoral offices are located in every municipal office of the country, or should be. Let me say, I'm not a spokesperson for anybody in government, so I'm not speaking from that point of view. I just want to share like the basic facts, right? So every citizen can register any day, any time. But the reason you have campaigns, okay, so I wanted to make a comment quickly, I'll come back to this. About 1994, I was 20 years old.
You?
Turning 21, I'm 50 now.
You look good for 50.
You're very good.
Looks so good for 50.
Too good.
Okay. And I'm not ageist because I believe it's like being racist or sexist, you know? It's like it's very limiting to oneself to be ageist. But when somebody says, oh, you look very good for 10 years, you understand the way, yeah. So in 94, we were very excited and very happy, really, you know?
Yeah.
To whatever degree and extent, if we woke kakhulu back then, was good, hey, nobody say in, you know? Which is not even true, because if I was former President Nelson Mandela in that situation from the late 80s when negotiations started in Codesa 1, leading up to Codesa 2, leading up to 1991, and the unbanning of political parties, I would have done exactly the same. Because you understand, you are located in the foot of Africa, you are in the African continent, you are like the roots of the African continent, you can't dislodge yourself. You can't make sudden moves. You know, black governments across Africa,
Yeah.
and some in Asia and others in India. And is it the Pakistani cabinet that was removed, like physically from their homes not so long ago? Eh? Yeah. So you just couldn't do it any other way. But we were in queues because we understood what I think, shame, we are failing these ones. Because I don't know if she's my daughter's age or slightly younger. We are failing la bantwana lava because they don't understand what they're voting for, number one. On their own, you must have your own relationship with your country. You must be a patriot to that extent that you understand that in my country, you must be a productive citizen. You know, if you were raised in Catholic schools and very strict parents, you're always constantly reminded that you're kuliswa, you're being reared and raised to be a productive citizen. So Koki takes your land, you're going to be productive. So who were told that, but we've defied. So the issue is very deep. So I dealt with the issue of, if you want to register, by the way, you want to repeat it to them. Go to any municipal office any day.
Yeah.
If you want to see that they are working, because it's a constitutional mandate, you need to go there and say, look, register to vote in Pete ID and maybe proof of residence if it's your first time. I don't know. I think, no, they can do the algorithms thing with Home Affairs.
Yeah.
So once they have your ID and they can verify it's you, that's it. And then they allocate you a voting station. If we ask, which is a or a tutor, next thing, you still use the address you have now, and then online, once you register online, you can check online. But the crux of the matter is that we understand that what it means is that you are now entering into a contract with your country to be a contributor, not an extractor, a moaner, a complainer. Not that you won't moan and complain. You're fela corn, right? No. You are going to get hurt. You are going to get injured. The lessons are going to be deep, but we are rebuilding. We're building. What does building require? Not broken bricks, right? So building an economy, it requires a lot of skills. And we have a growing population. So that was also that was a positive thing. Population just literally grew, as you know, right? We had a less than 2-digit unemployment in South Africa. We had
Teaching it a lot.
many institutions that but the biggest thing also, be naive. And what I'm painting sounds beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where we were. I'm trying to take you to where we were. We were in a euphoria. You couldn't stop us. That's why Bafana won in 1996, because we were so happy and excited. Whatever the hell it is that we had, we were happy about it. And then we got somehow either got disengaged or we disengaged, or nobody makes you do anything. We disengaged. And right now the youth is disengaging, not by not voting.
Okay.
They're disengaged by not even understanding what the voting is about. Firstly, voting must just be compulsory, seeing as we are in the
Yeah.
system, right? So I want to take it there. It must be compulsory, like in New Zealand and in Australia. You don't vote, there's certain tax penalties, but because you are rearing a productive country, productive citizens. If you're productive, doesn't mean you're perfect. You're gonna make mistakes, traffic fines, bond now and then, but you are present and you are there, right? So we need to have a different conversation, because this conversation is very tiring, right? Because ngivotelani kumele uvote, ngivotela bani, ngivotela ama-political party, ama-political parties, and I government. And 30 years I've seen this thing is now got a clear picture. Bese ngiyibona seyine-rhythm, ne-algorithm it is. So angifuni. What is the discussion to be had? Must vote in 94. We were ready to start this country. I'm telling you, from a 20-year-old who was productive.